This is Enjoy It While It Lasts, and I'm your host, Herman Faust. Today's version of the weekly Newsish is one with me by myself, and it's a little bit different than normal. In today's Newsish, I am going to focus in on one story, the most recent incident of an ICE agent killing a U.S. citizen. And more than just the story itself, I'm going to use that as an entry point to talk about what is going on around our society and our country when it comes to normalizing state-sponsored violence towards citizens as a means of control by fear and force. Before I get into the main story, I do want to tell you a little something. I like to start off with a little personal note. Normally, when church is with me, one of us is telling the other a story. At my kids' school, every year the third graders go to Bass Hall and see a performance of the Nutcracker. My oldest two got to do it each on their third grade year, and this year my youngest is in third grade, but she had to miss the day of her field trip because it was the same day that we left for our weekend trip for my wife's graduation. So she did not get to see the show or get to have the experience of going to Bass Hall or dressing up with her friends. So to make up for it, I took her one day, just me and her. We both got dressed up. And I'm also the only person in the family that has never seen the show. My wife has seen it whenever she was a third grade teacher, because I guess this is a whole district thing. It isn't just their school. It's everybody. It's a Fort Worth ISD field trip that happens every year. So everybody else besides me and her had seen the show, and to make up for her missing it, me and her went to go. We made a whole date of it. And this was not just my first time seeing the Nutcracker. This was my first time really seeing any ballet performance. First off, it was really fun with just the day with my daughter, of course. I mean, just getting to, anytime we have a chance to have one-on-one time with any of our kids, it's special because with three of them, and we always have so many different family activities, we don't get a ton of, that one-on-one individual time with them. We also got upgraded. They moved our seats up to like basically the front row, the second row, but there was nobody actually sitting in front of us, so it felt like we were right there next to the stage. And that gave me a very close-up view of realizing just how much you see when you go to a ballet. I have never seen more defined muscles in any man's legs or ass than I have seen that day. I'm very surprised that my daughter never brought it up to me because you could see every fiber of muscle on all of these guys' asses. And I don't know why in ballet they wear tight, damn near clear white tights with nothing over them, and it seems like that's only the men. I didn't see anything close to that on the women. But then also you could clearly see who's packing and who's not. They're just full display, not just a bulge, but shape. I felt vulgar myself just sitting there looking at it, but like I said, my daughter was so entranced by everything else, it never even occurred to her. But I don't see how this is just the norm. This is just what people do. You just go watch. It felt almost like a richer person's version or a haughtier version of a strip club. We're just seeing them dance around and we see everything. All right, this is your weekly Newsish, and I'm rolling solo today, and I have decided to focus on one story, which I guess you already know because I said in the intro. And we're going to start with the incident that happened yesterday morning in Minnesota. There's been another killing by an ICE agent. A woman was shot and killed in her car by an agent that claimed that he feared for his life. The story that they put out immediately was that they were running a targeted operation and that some rioters tried to disrupt them, and that a domestic terrorist tried to run down the agents with their car, and that this one heroic officer shot her down and put an end to her rampage. But there's video out there, and we can see with our eyes that that's just not the case. What really happened was ICE was rolling through neighborhoods and being basically looking for any person of color, any brown person they could find to pull over and harass, because that is what has been shown that they do. There's no targeting. They are specific. The only targeting they're doing is targeting the color of your skin, or if you are giving them a hard time, they're going to try to make your life extra hell. So they were rolling through the neighborhood, and they encounter people that protest them quite a bit. So there's people out telling them, like, screaming at them, get out. There's people who park their cars in the middle of the road in front of them, and that's what this woman had done. She had parked, kind of pulled her car, blocking the road a little bit, and was honking and screaming, basically trying to give them a hard time while also giving a warning to the neighborhood that, hey, ICE is now rolling through. We got to watch out. The ICE officers, ICE agents, they're not officers. These people are not police officers, by the way. They have no legal authority to hold citizens, to arrest citizens. They have no legal authority to give orders that you are required to follow. There's a very strict rules about who you are legally required to follow orders from as a citizen, and they are not that. They should have had to call police if they wanted somebody to come and clear the path, just like anybody else would have to call the police if somebody was blocking the road. Instead, they get out of their cars and start to surround the woman, screaming at her to get out their car. They already have guns visible on them. Again, one of them starts yanking on her door handle, and she's tries to maneuver the vehicle. You could tell if she wanted to attack and run somebody over. There was a time where an officer put himself in front of her vehicle. He put himself there, by the way. He stepped in front of it, blocking her path, clearly trying to force her to feel trapped. But she went backwards instead, and she tried to rearrange the trajectory and tried to drive off when the murderer took his gun out and fired into her car from the directly on the side of it. He was not in her path. He was in the side of her vehicle. He shot into one bullet went through the windshield right near the corner, and the other two went through her window side, the driver's side window, because again, he was on the side of her vehicle, and of course that shots turned out to be fatal. And then we have a car that now is coast into a crash in a residential neighborhood. Another part of it then that really is infuriating is they did not try to render any aid at all, or see if a fatality was avoidable. In fact, one of the neighbors was telling them, we have to stop the bleeding. I'm a physician. Let me check her pulse. And they kept telling everybody that basically it wouldn't let anybody near her to try to check on her. They would not go. It's caught on video them saying, I don't care. It's caught on video them then being trying to intimidate others. You hear the woman that was killed, you hear her wife screaming in the back of one of the videos. At least that's who I think it was that was screaming. It was definitely somebody screaming. I believe if the story I read was right, that's who it was that you hear screaming. But the part I'm sure of is that you see a person that is bleeding out and maybe dead already, but we'll never know if her life had a chance to be saved, because instead of trying to render any kind of aid, which I'm pretty sure, like most law agencies, if their officer shot somebody, they would check and see if they could still save their life or not. Especially when you have somebody that is on the scene screaming that they're a physician. Instead, they're holding back anybody that could possibly help and telling them that they have their own medics, even though clearly no one was on the scene. Renee Good, the victim yesterday, unfortunately is not even the first victim of this type. There was Keith Porter on New Year's Eve that was shot and killed. I know in the past I've talked about the time when a man was killed in Chicago, and the ICE agent there even was bragging about leaving holes in the body. So this is not anything new. There's also been 32 people as of right now. 32 people confirmed died in ICE custody. We have seen the type of conditions that people are kept in once ICE gets their hands on you. This is not a one-off, one-time accident. This is state-sponsored violence. This is state-sponsored killing. The rhetoric they're throwing out after the fact that they're calling her a rioter, and that they are completely trying to tell a different story than what we can all see happened. It's so ridiculous that I feel like if I was writing a story, I would have to make their lives a little bit more subtle. But I guess that's the genius of it. They are so ridiculous and so constant in their lies that it doesn't matter how ridiculous it is, because anybody that can see it, what happened, there's no story they can say that would get them on their side. But anybody who doesn't care and just either wants to believe in the mission that ICE is on, or they want to think that we should have to do whatever somebody with a gun tells us to do, they will just hold on tightly to whatever type of slander we can give these victims and justifications we can act like exist for their killings. They call it self-defense when clearly nobody else was in danger, so that people can just puppet that and parrot that. The fact that the agency's immediate reaction is to try to normalize the action, the killing of a citizen that was fleeing after being put into a position where she had armed men surrounding her vehicle, trying to force her out of the vehicle. These men had no badges. These men had masks. And the state is acting, or at least that agency is acting, like it's just justified that she should obey them. What I don't understand is all the times that I was told that it's so important for us to have the right to have guns, to defend ourselves, and our neighbors in case we have rogue government agents that are abusing their powers. I don't understand how turns out one day these people end up being right, and we do have masked men that are being paid by the government to abduct random people and have been killing citizens, and that those same people will act like nothing's wrong. This is just a matter of course. This is the way things are supposed to be. I honestly don't even like going down that train of thought because I don't like the idea of escalating violence. I don't like the idea of um, being forced as a normal person, a normal citizen, to even feel like you have no other option between going, like, all of a sudden you're in combat or you are in 100% submission to people that are going to harm you or someone, you and or people around you. I'm a pacifist at heart. I try to avoid confrontation as much as possible, especially when it comes to like anything that would lead to harm. I It hurts that it feels like my own ideology uh, even is tested and being pushed so much to where I can understand people that feel like their only choice is to defend themselves, because if you just comply and go along with it, well, they're going to say that your ID is fake. They're going to take you in. You're not going to get a trial. All of a sudden you're being held in what looks to me to be very similar to concentration or torture camps. If it's proved that you were there by mistake, they still won't send you out. So if you submit, these are what you're putting yourself at risk to. So I can understand the feeling of rage and the feeling like there's no other choice but to defend yourself. It makes it even more frustrating that I can almost guarantee there's not going to be any type of consequence for this killer. You might get a paid vacation, a pat on the back, because now it's a big social, cultural war issue instead of an actual like how do we police our citizens issue. The people that seem fine with it are the same, like I said, the same people that uh, would advocate that we have to have guns to protect us from the elite, from the secret police, and then meanwhile don't care about it because they believe in this racist rhetoric, fake mission that ICE is on, and or they are unaffected by it, so they turn a blind eye and they say, "Man, that's bad, but it's not that bad." This is the exact kind of incident and story that, for the longest time, had me just completely shut the world out and never watch the news and only focus on directly what I could see. And I still have to only limit the amount of time I spend thinking about this because of the amount of rage and helplessness it makes me feel. Before I do need to try to ground myself in my day-to-day life again. But we can't be blind. We can't deny reality. We can't pretend like whatever fake story we're given is not anything other than a fake story whenever we have proof of what really happened. We can't just accept it as normal that we have an agency that rolls through neighborhoods and just tries to dominantly assert intimidation, assert just power, and not even trying to, they're trying to instill fear. And I mean, in that sense, they are succeeding. They are succeeding, unfortunately, in instilling that fear. And I'm tired and frustrated and hurting. But I'm not going to put my head back in the sand like I used to. And I still think that if I was in the position that Renee Good was in, that I would probably still do the same. I probably would have stopped and tried to get in their way if I could buy enough time for one person to run away from them. That would be worth it. I would probably not allow them to yank me out of my vehicle either. I'd probably try to get away. I guess I would still do so now. I would do so now knowing and expecting that I'm putting myself at risk for death and then posthumous defamation of character. Because that is what we do in this country, apparently. But you know what they say? Life's a risk, carnal. And at least I'd be putting my life at risk for something that I believe in. Remember, you only got one life to live. You might as well enjoy it while it lasts.